What's up, my friends? I hope you're well. You know, my last video was talking about that shiny little piece of gear that I might want, and I also said that I was going to do my research before I dare ever thought of leaning towards that. You know, as the idea is great and all, I've learned a few things here. And one is, number one, I think you need one DAW that works well for you, and get extremely proficient at that one DAW, that digital audio workstation. And if that particular DAW, no matter what it is, whether it be Logic, Reason, Persona Studio and Pro, Ableton, you get the point, you get the idea. If it works for you, roll with it. As for a piece of gear, I did a ton of research. My last video was talking about maybe I want an MPC Keys 37. And what that thing reminded me of is my old Roland JX305 Groove synth that I loved. I loved that thing, I really did. But my thing is do I really need it? No. It's not. It's portable, but not as portable as my laptop. And I can take a little MIDI controller with me, do anything I want. I think that my laptop is better. I can do all the stuff that you can do on an MPC in Logic Pro. There was a video about that. But I went and watched tutorials on this, and I kept thinking, you know, Akai has the MPC DAW. It's a standalone, and they do. It's an MPC 2. I think they call it MPC Beats. And the operating system, if you learn that and that, you'll know how to run it in an MPC, except that you have to do some extra steps in the MPC because the real estate is smaller in the steps you take, and you're limited on what you can do in an MPC standalone versus with software. We've learned that. But why the hell do I need another DAW when I can do it all in Logic Pro? So most of you probably already knew this or wondered, what is he thinking? What is he doing, you know? Just use Logic. True. I can get an MPK249 controller. I've had one of those before and I loved it. It's just I sold it, didn't think I needed it a while back ago. And I can use it in the standalone DAW software MPC too. Now here's the beauty of this. I can do it in Logic Pro as well. But MPC's DAW can be used as a plug-in in Logic Pro, just like Reason is and a few other things. So if I ever decided I wanted to do that, I don't know why, I can do that. Some people prefer using the MPC software, and then they can render it and drop it into Logic. But Logic has, you know, your live loops and your pattern. A lot of things you can do in Logic, and you can chop up your samples and do things and do it in Logic, you know, just as easy. Now, I'm not putting down anything MPC, because I can tell you right now that there are guys that just prefer to use MPC. Now, if you're doing a standalone with the MPC, you're going to have a DAW to finish it out and mix and master it. Now, there are things you can do in the MPC2 Beats software, the standalone DAW, that you can mix, master, and render it. It does take VSTs. But what I haven't seen, and you may be able to record audio into the in the MPC2 DAW standalone. If you can't, you're still going to have some sort of a DAW like Logic Pro or something to mix and master that stuff out. The MPC2 may have that. It probably does. But that still reverts back to it's a complete 360 of, before you start looking at that shiny little red toy that's cool and it's like, hey, it's an all-in-one and I can separate myself from the computer, you're still in that computer. You're still doing it, you know. It's just something else you've got to learn. And my thing is I'm just going to stay focused on what I have and what I'm good at and enjoy that, you know. My cool thing is that I take my laptop around and do everything on that like I do with my laptop at the house in my studio. You know, sometimes I've got my MacBook Pro to take with me. So in certain instances, I need all that. I need to take it with me depending on what I'm doing. The good thing about the MacBook Air that I got is it's challenges me, because it's not everything that I have on my MacBook Pro, but it challenges me to be more creative and do the things kind of like what you would do on a standalone MPC. So with that said, I've got a little LPK25 Akai that I can use as a keyboard to travel with or wherever I prefer. And I've got my MacBook Air, and a lot of times I just use the musical typing on there and just use the laptop, you know, it depends on what I'm doing. That way I can take that. You can't take that MPC Keys 37 to a Panera Bread and go, what the hell is he doing, you know? It's a computer just looks more normal. But I love being able to do music in different places. Some people can't do it, but I love it. It really is. I can sit at different places, and something about that inspires me. But it's just more gear I don't need, and you know.
Watch out! Vehicle on shoulder ahead.
If you think about it, you know, you're adding more gear you may not need. It depends on what you want to do, what you think you need. With me, I don't need it. You know, I really don't need it. But it's just one of those things that you spend $899 on the MPC Keys 37. Your controller, which is an MPK 249, is everything that except it's not the software. It's a controller. You can put Logic Pro for half the cost, and you can get the MPC Beat software. I don't know exactly what the cost of that software is, but it's a lot less than buying a whole MPC, I'm sure. But if you bought those two, you're still spending a lot less if you wanted the MPC Beat software. I really don't see the need. I'll tell you one thing I will say though, is the MPCs, their stage pianos and their strings sound incredible. The pianos on those things, oh my gosh, they do a great job, man, at the plug-in instrument plugins that they have. It's incredible. It's come a long way. But I've got a lot of incredible pianos and stuff at what I'm doing in Logic Pro with a lot of the Spectrasonic stuff that I have, so I can import all kinds of samples and everything, you know, in with that. Another thing I like what MPC does is like what Persona Studio and Pro does now. They have the Splice integration in the software, in the DAW, which you can sign in the Splice in the DAW, and you can drag from your DAW. Your samples are all there, and you can drop them in the timeline. I'm waiting for Logic Pro to do that. Now, here's the cool thing about it. Logic Pro Apple will probably do it eventually. You know, they may take it further and say, you know, whatever integration you want to do, it's there. Don't think they're going to charge us for that update. The amazing thing about Logic Pro is that I've gotten so many upgrades that other companies are charging you for. Way more. I made that point with the new Reason 13. Reason 13 was not that impressive of an upgrade, and I think the majority of the people can see that. It just didn't see it wasn't worth upgrading, but I did it anyway because I like to stay up to date with Reason. I love Reason. I've said it before. I love their racks. I use some of their stuff still, and I need to branch out and get to. I made the point the other day. I need to use more. I've got so many synths and things with Reason I really want to use. I love their players, but their DAW as a whole has fallen behind. At least it has with me. A lot of the editing stuff. That's why I love Logic Pro. The ease of use and just everything as a whole has been amazing with Logic Pro. Now, I get it. Logic Pro isn't for everybody. That's okay. I don't care. It is for me now. I enjoy it, unless something else comes along. I do know that had I not been using Logic Pro and it wasn't for me, I'd more than likely be using Persona Studio One Pro. Just a great DAW. Everything's drag and drop, and everything is there. And you know, there are a few things about Persona Studio One that bug me, and that is a lot of the MIDI controller and audio interface integration is just and they're new. I haven't upgraded to the new Studio One. That may have been improved, but it really has caused problems where some of your MIDI controllers, you can't seem to get them to set up. It won't find them. It suggests the wrong ones, and a lot of that may have been, and I've learned recently, even with Logic Pro, you may have to put driver software in there and let it manually see it on the computer. And I'll go back and check that, because that might be what's going on. Is I need to just go put the driver software in and let it see it. You know, these days, a lot of stuff is plug and play where you don't need to do that. But when you integrate a lot of these Akai Akai controllers and you want to set it up with Logic, it needs to see the MIDI translation. You know, setting up a lot of your features to your faders and your transport buttons. It sees the software and it sees the firmware there where it will connect. Sorry about this. I was looking at something. I lost train of thought. But be it that it may, at the end of the day, guys, before you go look for that shiny toy, do the research and do the comparison of what really is better for you. Sometimes it ain't always, it's not always, the grass isn't always greener on the other side because you get that shiny toy. It's cool and all, but at the end of the day, you can do the same thing in Logic Pro. You really can. You can do the same thing in Reason or Ableton. You find a lot of people using Ableton and they use the Akai controllers, which are great controllers. Novation is great. Native Instruments has a few that are really good. So, be it that it may, folks, think about that. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm not quick to just pay $899 for something if I really don't need it. Now, that's not to say I may find a use for it or may go, let me pull the trigger and do it anyway, you know. I will say there are there are options that are less cost than the one I was looking at, and that's what they call MPC 1 Plus, which is basically the keys 37 without the keyboard. You can plug a keyboard into it. It is more portable. It's the same operating system and everything on it, but again, I don't see the point, honestly, of getting it right now. I don't. I love what I do with Logic, and I can do everything in Logic when it comes to sampling stuff and all my synths. Everything is there. So, you know, us musicians, we're always looking for the next best thing when we already have it right there, staring at us in the vase. It's right there in front of us. We just haven't utilized it enough, and that's what it's taught me. I need to utilize more of what I'm doing with Logic Pro. I love it. I don't have anything against it. So, anyway, thought I'd share that. I'm jumping off here, and we'll see you guys in the next video. I appreciate you. Be cool.